Good morning, everyone. Today we're going to discuss the functions of management, which is study module 1, learning session 2. So management, as we all know, management as it is the art of getting things done through the efforts of other people. It means your ability to control, to organize, and to arrange all resources, both human and material, to function makes you a manager. So the principle of management are the activities that plan, organize, and control the operations of a basic element of people, material, machines, method, money, and markets, providing direction and coordination and giving leadership to human effort so as to achieve and solve objectives of the enterprise. So basically, principles of management are often discussed or learned using a framework called POST-COP+C, which stands for planning, organizing, staffing, directing, coordinating, communicating, reporting, budgeting, and +C, which indicates controlling. So the framework of our discussion today is the POST-COP, which you can see from the table. It shows planning, organizing, staffing, directing, coordinating, reporting, budgeting, and controlling. So when you look at the table, you will understand that it shows some of the basic components of all other, like planning is a compass and shows the right direction for organizations to follow. So organizing, collecting, it means collecting, assembling factors of production together. And all of them, when you go through, you're going to see most of them and what it contains. So taking you to the end, which means controlling, is ensuring that the achieved result or outcome conform to predetermined objectives. What it's saying is that you set a target and you compare that at the end of the day that whether the set target is achieved or not. And if it is achieved, you'll be able to understand why is it achieved and why is it not achieved. Should it be the management or the organization failed to achieve them? So one will be able to identify the gap, and then he takes the next action so that in the subsequent functions, and he'll be able to solve those. So, and that takes us to one question: who is a manager, and who are managers? So this is a question to all of us. But then, is in the class session, we will need to understand who are managers. So managers are responsible for the process of getting activities completed efficiently and through other people, and setting and achieving the firm's goals through the execution of 4 basic management functions: planning, organizing, and leading. And in this class, we're going to discuss more beyond the 4. So planning, organizing, coordinating, directing, staffing, budgeting, and controlling. So these are some of the things we're going to discuss. In both the traditional and contemporary views of management, there remains the need for different types of managers. One, we have like in every organization there are different types of managers. So we have top managers, line managers. Top managers are responsible for developing the organization's strategy and being its steward for its visions and missions, while a line manager leads a function that contributes directly to the products or services the organizations create. Who are managers? Continue. Then the functional managers are responsible for the efficiency and effectiveness of an area such as accounting or marketing, meaning that functional managers take care of a particular department or unit of an organization. And then that's why we give an example of marketing or accounting. There are other departments like production, purchase and supply, transportation, and whatnot. Yeah. So another managers, supervisory or team managers. They are responsible for coordinating and regrouping of particular functions or team composed of members from different parts of the organizations. Yeah, a team is a temporary organization, a group of people put together to achieve certain things. Yeah, for example, in a company, there might be people in the marketing department, but they could be regrouped into a team. So that is it. So sometimes you will hear distinctions made between line and staff managers. So a line manager leads a function that contributes directly to the products or services the organization creates, while a staff manager, in contrast, leads a function that creates indirect inputs. They serve a supporting role. Yeah. So line managers are basically staff manager, basically under line manager. That's what it means. So a project manager, for example, has the responsibility for planning, executing, and closing of any project. So project managers are often found in construction, architecture, consulting, computer networking, telecommunication, or software development. While in general, a general manager, GM, as is only the acronym used for general manager in most companies, you can testify that in your organizations, the word GM, by mere mentioning GM, one will be able to know that general manager stands for general manager. So general manager is someone who is responsible for managing a clearly identifiable revenue producing unit such as store, business unit, or product line. So GMs typically make decisions across different functions and have reward tied to the performance of the entire unit, that is store, business unit, product line, etc. GMs take the direction from their top executives and achieve it in line with the overall plan for the company. For example, a general manager doesn't form policy, but what he does is he implements the form policy by top management. He makes sure that those things are executed. Yeah. So they set specific goals and describe their goals clearly to their support staff. So all people under general manager take the responsibility for achieving so general manager perform a supervisory role, see that the goals are met, ensure that the goals are met of the organization. So this might not be necessarily under the topic discussed, subject matter, which is the function of management, but I'm introducing you to this concept in order to understand what managers or management is all about. Yeah. So the changing roles of management and managers. It has occurred that today's world is changing. So we have traditional and contemporary. Even in the architectural design, we have contemporary architectural design and we have traditional. Wherever we mention traditional means the classic way, the old ways of doing things, the norm, the old well norm, the accepted norms of doing certain things. But today's world is changing because of globalization and information technology. So top managers, in the traditional way, top managers ensure the organization's competitiveness and lower level managers employees job security. So it means that the flow of instruction is from top downward, while in the contemporary view of management or managers, they empower lower level managers and employees for certain decisions. If they deem it fit that the lower managers could perform the greater role, then they are, so be it, in as much as the competitiveness of the organization will be achieved, and that's what they're after. So you can see just a reverse of the traditional management. Yeah. So managers' functions, a manager's primary challenge is to solve problems creatively. So, and this is the point of our discussion today. Functions of management. So manager's function, a manager's primary challenge is to solve problem, because and when that's what they call somebody manager. You have to take responsibility for the success and failure of a particular unit or organization as a manager. So while drawing from a variety of academic disciplines and to help managers respond to challenge of creative problem solving, principles of management have long been categorized into four major functions of planning, organizing, directing, coordinating, reporting, budgeting, and controlling. The post-scope, C framework. So the 8 functions summarizes in the post-scope C figure are actually highly integrated when carried out in the day-to-day realities of running an organization or business. They are basically the functions, but for the course of our discussion today, we pick some and discuss elaborately, but others one can in the study material it's contained inside. So for this sake of this class, and I've taken just few to discuss and elaborate. Yeah. So planning. Planning involves certain objectives. Plan is one of the major functions of management. So it involves certain objectives, determining a course of action for achieving those objectives. So when you look at the diagram, one will see how objectives, planning organizations and managers or management plan an organization. One, inventory resources. Analyze the resources data, determine objective, and identify problems. And the next one is formulate alternative or evaluate course of action, and then evaluate those alternatives and make decision which one is better. Then you take into action. Then implement the plan and evaluate the plan. So it falls in the collection and analysis, decision support, and then application and evaluations. All this. So planning requires that managers be aware of environmental conditions facing their organizations and forecast future conditions. It also requires that managers be good decision makers. So you cannot be a good manager without having taken right decisions, because a lot of problems that's facing organizations is from wrong decisions. So at the point of planning, managers or management have to choose which course of action necessarily to be taken. So planning continues. If you go in this planning cycle, you can see the analysis, the explore options, selecting the base explain options, detailed planning, then plan evaluation, plan implementation, then closure of the plan, and then feedback takes back to analysis and opportunities. So it means it's a cycle, and that after every step, at the end of the day, it has to go back again and again. So planners must establish objectives, which are statements of what needs to be achieved, and when it identify alternative courses of action and for achieving objectives. After evaluating the various alternatives, planners must make decisions about the best courses of action for achieving objectives. So formulate necessary steps and ensure effective implementation of plans. So planning, we have this strategic planning, we have tactical planning, we have operational planning. So strategic planning has to do with the competitive opportunities and threats, as well as the strengths and weaknesses of the organization, and then determine how to position the organization to compete effectively. So strategic, as the name implies, when it means strategy, is basically how can you dominate in the marketplace. What course of action do you need to take, or type of action do you need to take in order to defeat your competitors? Tactical planning is an intermediate range of type of planning that is designed to develop a relatively concrete and specific means to implement strategic plan. Tactical, taking action. Tactical, operational. Tactical, like in the case of the military, when they are planning, they have tactical team, and tactical teams are those people who give the technicality. They are platoon commanders who go to the field of war, and they are the ones who tactical. The strategic planning is done already at the headquarters, but then the tactical team will go, and that's how it goes. So operational planning generally assumes the existence of generalization-wide or subunit goals and objectives. Specify ways to achieve them. Operational planning is short range, less than a year. Planning that is designed to develop specific action steps that support the strategic and tactical plans. So organizing, this is the second management functions. It involves developing an organizational structure and allocating human resources to ensure the accomplishment of objectives. So the structure of the organization is a framework within which effort is coordinated. So organizing a structure, it means defining everybody's responsibility and giving everybody's task. What are the performance measurement? What are performance indicators? So this at this stage, it is usually represented by an organizational chart, mostly, which provide a graphic representation of the chain of command within an organization. It shows who's accountable for whose boss is whose boss, and it continues that in that manner. So organization also involve the design of individual jobs within the organization. So organization at the level of the organizing at the level of organization involves deciding how best to departmentalize or cluster jobs into departments to coordinate effort effectively. So you can see the step from the diagram in the slide. It shows review plans, list tasks, group tasks into jobs, group jobs, assign work, and then delegate authority. Yeah. So organizing involves developing an organizational structure, and this is it. Yeah. So controlling involves ensuring that performance does not deviate from standards. So what we're saying is the overall, and after all this, the budgeting, the human resources, we can see from the framework that is about staffing, allocating the positions, and choosing the right people and at the right time. So we talk about budget, who has to planning, organizing the resources, putting them together, and generating invoice and receipts for implementation of plans. Yeah. So when we talk about directing and it's also giving instructions and delegation of authority and responsibility to people. So the overall, at the top end, we talk about controlling. So like I said earlier, I've chosen just few to discuss because of time. So controlling involves ensuring that performance does not deviate from standards. Establishing performance standard before you control, there must be a defined performance standard from the top management or the manager, and then when the responsibility are defined and allocated to individuals, and then there must be a performance measurement, and what measure is to understand whether the performance is actually achieved or the organizational objective or it has deviated. So then the next step of the controlling is to compare the actual performance against standards. And for those of you who are in marketing department or operational department, when it comes to performance appraisal, that's what is normally asked. Your actual target, for example, those in the banks and insurance, they normally give you in monetary terms. They said your target is, for example, 1 billion. So when you are able to achieve 500 million, and then they will compare whether was the performance rate when in percentage, and they will now more often say, okay, he has performed 50% because the actual target is supposed to be 1 billion. So taking corrective action is okay now that they realize that he's underperformed, and they will need to find out why is he underperforming, and is it because he is not giving PR in the case of banks and insurance, or is it because he's not coming to reporting to work as is when due? So these are some of the findings that the organization have to find out, and the causes of lack of performance. And at the same time, it's also good to understand the causes of achieving target, so that it could be recommended. The measures and strategies or steps could be recommended for other people to use so that they could achieve their target. So, and this is performance. So controlling involves ensuring that performance does not deviate, like I always said. So the managerial function of controlling should not be confused with control in the behavior or manipulative sense. Yeah. This function does not imply that managers should attempt to control or to manipulate the personalities, values, attitude, or emotions of their subordinate. Instead, these functions of management concerns the manager's role in taking necessary action to ensure that the work-related activities of subordinates are consistent with and contributing toward the accomplishment of organizational and departmental. So controlling involves So effective controlling requires the existence of plans, since planning provides the necessary performance standards or objectives. So controlling also requires a clear understanding of where responsibility for deviation from standard lies. So controlling, through traditional control techniques, budget and performance audit. Yeah. So through budget, one will be able to an audit, one will be able to assert the powers of controlling. Yeah. So for in the case of audit, it involves an examination and verification of records. Yeah, as the name implies, auditing firm, like in the case of accounting, to check whether a fraud is displayed or due process has been followed. So a budget audit provides an information about where an organization is with respect to what was planned to. So The next part is part of the study session is administration versus management. So there are a lot of arguments, there are a lot of theories who most often than not, most of the terms are interchangeable, because in some cases, like in the public sector, they use management as administrator, and in the business world they use manager as administrator as well. So it means top management, those people who are responsible for controlling, coordinating, and all those things, activities in an organization. So when you look at the table, one will be able to understand the difference, even though in subsequent table. So the distinction between administration and management. So this is contained in the study module, the study material. This is gotten from there. So nature of administration is determinative, while nature of management is an executive or doing function. So when you look at the scope, administration is related with the deciding of major objectives, while management is related with the implementation of objectives and policies. So it means the administrators, the top management, they decide, and then management are the foot soldiers, platoon commanders, who dish out those policies and make sure that they are implemented. So administration is mainly a top level functions, while management is largely a middle or lower level function. Yeah. So when you look at the table, is self-explanatory. So and then we decided to go outside and to compare managers and leaders. Yeah. So you can see from this table between managers versus leaders. So managers administer, maintain, control, short-term view, ask how and when, initiate, accept the status quo, do things right. While leaders innovate, develop, inspire, long-term view, ask what and why, originate, challenge the status quo, do the right. So you can see from the role, the focus, the approach, the methodology, style, tone, and outcome, they're basically the major difference between the leadership and management. So visionary strategic thinker is that means leadership, while enterprise builder, productivity expert is management, because management is following the do process, but management is following the well-designed rule and regulations, while leaders go out of their way to create ways to lead and inspire others for followership. Yeah.